In this video, we're going to learn how you can type text in JavaScript. So we've just been doing numbers. I want you to pause the video and see if you can explore typing a sentence and your name in that browser console. So this is another great time where it's a chance for you to pause that video and try things out yourself, because you learn a lot from trying things out yourself. Here we are. I'm going to see what happens when we try typing a sentence, like maybe, hello, my name is Richard. Oh no, I've got an error. This red thing here is telling me that's an error. Errors, remember, part and parcel of learning how to program. It's okay, let's just try my name then. Still got an error. What's going on? Here's how you can kind of think about it. The JavaScript code, it's got a very limited vocabulary. It knows about numbers. It knows about the number 3. It knows that 3 plus 8 is equal to 11. It knows about these things. But it doesn't know any particular kind of human language like English. So when I type Richard, which is clearly my name, I don't know what this is. So we need to find some way to kind of represent this text in a way where it's not going to complain. And the way we do that, you can think of it like speech. We're saying something to it, and that's why we have double quotation marks. And then, just like when you would write speech in text, you put what you want to say inside. So I'm going to put Richard, my name, and there we see. I get back something, just like when I was getting back 11 from 3 plus 8. I get back exactly what I typed, and it happens. Importantly, I'm not getting the error. So JavaScript is happy with this here. It kind of can make sense of this. Oh, this is kind of text. And specifically, we would call this, the technical name is a string. So it's a bit like speech, but it's a text in a way which JavaScript is happy to accept. And as well as being single words, it can be sentences as well. Hello, my name is Richard. And I've used double quotation marks there. You're also allowed to use single quotation marks. Richard and hello again. So I want you to see if you can try this out. Pause the video and try this task here. Now that you've paused the video and tried this out by yourself, let's go through it. So the first text we had to represent was JavaScript. And of course, if we just type JavaScript, this is kind of text trying to represent, it throws an error, it doesn't know what you mean. But if we can use a string to represent it, so either the double quotation marks or the single quotation marks, both are fine. The second bit of text was JavaScript is not Java. They sound very similar, but actually they're different programming languages, which is just a kind of important kind of trivia. And the third one was JavaScript isn't Java. JavaScript isn't Java. There we go. There will be some errors which some people might run into and not be able to make much sense of. And an important part of learning to code is kind of getting used to errors and dealing with them. So I want you to pause the video here, look at these, and see if you can figure out what is the mistake and how can we correct it. With the first one here, they just type JavaScript. There's the error we're getting back, JavaScript is not defined. Remember, our code, there's very limited vocabulary. It knows about numbers, it doesn't know about words automatically. And we actually saw this error earlier when just type JavaScript doesn't work. So you've got to make sure that you're telling it that this is text we're representing in that kind of speech-like way using a string. So the error of the first one is not having that kind of string kind of wrapping outside it with the kind of quotation marks. So what's wrong with the second one? Well, what's wrong with the second one is that they started the string, they haven't closed it. So when you start, you're declaring the beginning of a string, but you have to end it, otherwise it will throw an error. So JavaScript, end the string, and be like, okay, string complete, JavaScript, it can accept that. This third one here, it's got an error. Look at it, why is the error? Well, it's because it's beginning with single quotation mark, ending with double. And what's important using a string is, although we can declare with either, we need to be consistent. So if I do something like JavaScript, I begin with a double, then single won't cut it as an end. I have to end with double as well. And conversely, if I begin with a double, I can't, so if I begin with a single, I can't end with a double. I have to end with a single. And finally, this last one may be the most subtle. JavaScript isn't Java, there's an error. Well, we are wrapping, it looks like. We've got the kind of quotation marks at the end, either side, and they're consistent. So why is it throwing an error? You might get a clue from your console where you type it. Where if I look, there's some weird kind of coloring which is going on here. Does that help? Have a moment to think. So pause, see if you can suss that out. And the answer is basically, we're using something here, which we're trying to use it as apostrophe. Say it's a contraction, JavaScript isn't Java, but our JavaScript code is interpreting that as ending that string, which we started there. And so it says, oh, you've ended your string. It thinks that's a string. JavaScript isn't. You see, a string. And so this next bit here is now then this kind of, it doesn't work in terms of syntax because we ended our string. What we wanted though was we wanted the string, that text, to be that whole sentence. JavaScript isn't Java. But at the same time, we want to be able to use a single quotation marks and apostrophe inside. So how can we somehow declare a string in a way where this single quotation mark isn't ending the string inside it? And that goes back to this example here, where I started with double quotation and I tried to end with a single, and actually I got an error because it doesn't let you end with a single if you started with a double. And we can use that to our advantage here. JavaScript isn't Java. Where now this single quotation mark can't end this string because the string began with a double. And that's how you can use apostrophes inside a string, make sure that you declare on the outer with the double quotation marks. So to embed your learning from this video, try these following tasks. So in this video, we are looking at representing text in JavaScript using strings, which we can use to represent sentences and names and things like that. In the next video, we're going to look at how we can represent groups in JavaScript.